Hello and welcome to SEC Baseball Predictions. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Graham Doty and Jay Greeson. Today, we unpack Auburn at Ole Miss. Big series for both clubs with a lot on the line. Here are your pitching rotations for the series as announced by the SEC. We'll get Cam Tilley for Auburn against Hunter Elliott for Ole Miss in Game 1. So that's interesting. Auburn going differently in Game 1 than it usually does with Sam Dutton, their normal Game 1 starter, moved to Game 2, where he'll face Riley Maddox. And in Game 3, Christian Chatteron, the talented freshman for Auburn, will go up against Mason Nichols. So Ole Miss is keeping the same rotation in the same order, which pretty much no one ever does, ever in college baseball anymore. And Auburn has kept Sam Dutton in there, and made Cam Tilley and Christian Chatteron their Game 1 and 3 stars. Guys, I think this is a fascinating matchup between two really good teams. Auburn has really got a lot to play for. Ole Miss with a series win or a series sweep, particularly the latter, could get into the hosting mix, and I think probably would. Auburn with the series win and maybe just getting one clinches a host, and I think, in my opinion, a national seed. A lot to play for, guys, here. What stands off to you guys off the top? Graham, and Ole Miss will be getting a key member of its infield back for starters. Let's start with that, and then anything else that you find notable.
Yeah, so on the injury report list, which did come out today for Ole Miss, Brayden Jones is out like he has been. He's out for the rest of the year, bullpen arm. But the one that kind of caught my eye, Brayden Randle is probable. Middle infielder, mostly second base. He has missed a while, like at least 2 or 3 weeks with the finger hand injury. That's why Judd Unimark has been playing second base, and you don't see a lot of 6'5" second baseman out there. So if Randall is available, maybe that's a shot in the arm for Ole Miss. This will certainly be a series in which Ole Miss will need all hands on deck to take on a very, very good Auburn team.
For me, I just think there is the cosmic tumblers have clicked, and I think this is an Auburn team that has a whole lot of special juju around it. And if you look at the midweek game, and it was like a 19-1 trouncing of an overmatched opponent, but the big story came when Andrew Dutton, who has not played all year, who was a Birmingham Southern grad transfer after that program made a memorable run this time a year ago to the Division III national tournament, and then the school got bagged. He transfers to Auburn, hasn't played all year, has become their first base coach, honestly. And he gets an at-bat last night and hits one 380 feet to right field. And you would have thought that every starter who was in the dugout, they had won in Omaha with the joy and the overwhelming exuberance of a Disney youth sports moment. And, I mean, honestly, that type of positivity, that type of connection, he said in the post-game interview to The Athletic that to have this experience with your 40 best friends, the connection in the Auburn dugout is real. I mean, yeah, Graham early on called Auburn being a lot better than they were a year ago, but they finished 15th a year ago. And barring the lug nuts falling completely off, I don't see how they're not a national seed. To go from 15th in the SEC in 2024 to top 8 nationally in 2025, it speaks volumes of the direction of the coaching staff, speaks volumes of the transfer of Sam Dutton, speaks volumes of the dudeness of Ike Irish. And yeah, I may have made that word up, but so be it. Speaks volumes about the talent of this freshman class. And I am a betting man, but if I had to put money on it, I would parlay Auburn having top 3 finishers in Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, Coach of the Year, and Freshman of the Year.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. Here's another thing, guys. 2 very mature head coaches coming off bad years that have turned it around. I think they have good clubhouse culture, which helps you this time of year when you're thinking about transfer portal and and pro ball and everything else. I want to kind of look at the matchups a little bit. Style-wise, Ole Miss is the team that hits more home runs. They're over 100. You look down the lineup, they've got a lot of guys who can hit them. Let me give you the numbers specifically. A lot of double-digit home run guys. You got Mitchell Sanford, 14, Utermark, 14, Ryan Moorman with 11, Austin Foley, surprise player of the year, has got 16, and then some other guys like Furness, Hill, and Isaac Humphrey, who are in that 8 to 9 territory. Auburn doesn't have as much top-end power. It's got Ike Irish, who's just a headache to pitch to. It's got Cooper McMurray, Chris Rembert, who is probably my choice for freshman of the year in the league right now, has got 10, and then they just kind of score runs other ways. They steal a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. So I think when you look at it, Ole Miss is a little bit more power-laden. Auburn gets theirs done with some power, some other things. And then I think we start to turn, because the ball gets out pretty quickly in Oxford at times. Who can keep the ball in the park? Here's your home run rates for the starting pitchers. Cam Tilley, 1.9%. Sam Dutton, 2.1%. Christian Chatterton, 3.0%. For Ole Miss and what it'll be starting, here are some numbers. Hunter Elliott, 1.4%. The kid just doesn't give you anything to hit. He's a little bit effectively wild when I've seen him play. And then Riley Maddox, 3.2, and Mason Nichols, 3.6. So Auburn got a little bit of an edge in terms of keeping guys in the yard. Don't know if that holds or not, but it's a storyline to watch.
And Graham, because I know you know the Ole Miss program in and out, beyond keeping the ball in the park, Auburn's got a better than close to a 2.5 to 1 strikeout to walk ratio as a staff. And we've talked about how Ole Miss they're close to 140 points better in on base than there are in their batting average. It's because they find ways to steal first base, for a lack of a better word. Auburn has been pretty good about not doing that.
Mm-hmm. I think something to watch. What is given Ole Miss fits this season is when Ole Miss faces an ace, they really struggle. Now I know a lot of people do, but it just feels different with Ole Miss. Like Ole Miss won't really draw a lot of walks. They don't really manufacture runs. It's just like if they get a hold of one, hit it over a fence, that's kind of what's been working, especially against an ace. Like Ole Miss just faced Kyson Witherspoon the other day. We saw what he did. You know, Doyle had 14 strikeouts against Ole Miss or whatever the number was. And then even Evan Sierra at Mississippi State, you know, he had 15 strikeouts. So I don't know. At times this Ole Miss lineup, it'll look incredible. It'll look like, oh my God, like how's anybody going to beat this team? Like the game 1 of the Mississippi State series, Ole Miss had 4 home runs. And it's like, okay, like, this team looks unbeatable. And then the next game is the Evan Sierra 15 strikeout game. So it helps that Ole Miss is at home. Obviously, everybody's done with finals and school and everything, so the crowd's going to be great. The weather, last I looked, is going to be okay, so the environment will be great. I look at this as like who has more at stake in a series, like who's more desperate, and I kind of think it's Ole Miss. Like one thing I want to say for Auburn, we get asked all the time about Auburn, like what's going to happen if they win the series, don't win the series at Ole Miss, are they going to host? I think Auburn is hosting no matter what. If they win 2 games this weekend, if they only win 1, I think they are in prime position to host and potentially be a national seed and host a super regional if they get to that point. They're number 2 in the country in the polls now. We know what their strength of schedule and RPI. So I kind of think the pressure is a little bit off of Auburn. Ole Miss is going to have a little bit more pressure just because Ole Miss really needs these. Ole Miss needs this in order to put yourself in a spot to host. Like Ole Miss is not in a position to be a national seed, but if Ole Miss takes 2 out of 3 and wins at least a game in Hoover next week, I think Ole Miss would be knocking on the door of hosting a regional. And I just think with this Ole Miss team like that would be big time for this group this season moving forward. Looking at recent history, Ole Miss won at Auburn last year. I don't know what you can take away from that. Last time Auburn was in Oxford and Swayze Field, Auburn did sweep that series. That was 2 years ago.
Anything else to unpack? Or are we ready for picks?
Well, the one thing I would want to unpack here is I think Graham's right in the desperation sense, but I don't know. I don't think Butch is going to let this team rest. I mean, I think the goal here is a top 8, not a host. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I do want to ask this question, Graham, because you've seen Ole Miss. Do they struggle more with guys who are 94 plus or guys who locate like Dutton does? And I'm not saying Dutton throws slow pitch softballs, but is his movement in and around the zone? Because I mean, he's low 90s, but and had a great year. But is that a better matchup than a Liam Doyle or a Kyson Witherspoon, or a worse one?
It's been both, Jay. I mean, like we've seen Ole Miss struggle against Doyle and Witherspoons with the strikeouts, but also we've seen Ole Miss like Evan Sierra. I think his most strikeouts in a game this season was 5. And he's 90, 91, maybe 92. And he struck out 15 against Ole Miss. And then remember the South Carolina series, Stone had the complete game, like 82 pitches or whatever it was. I think he had like 4 or 5 strikeouts, but I don't know. Some games Ole Miss will go up there and just swing for the fences like the first pitch or two. And that's what can get Ole Miss in trouble. So like to answer your question, I have no idea what to expect because we've seen it both ways. Like we've seen Ole Miss not handle a power pitcher, and then we've seen Ole Miss make somebody that doesn't throw very hard look like Nolan Ryan out there or something.
Yeah. I think let's get to picks. Really like both these teams. I think Ole Miss has developed some maybe a little bit more consistency with the back end of its rotation and its bullpen, which was the thing I was concerned about early. And then there's Auburn guys. Sometimes the RPI can just be a thing that you can trick a little bit by playing some good teams and maybe winning some close games. And I feel like Auburn's RPI got propped up pretty quickly and early. And then you start watching them. You say, okay, is this just a team that maybe is not as good as the computer numbers say? And you look at the way they play. You look at the way they keep their cool. You look at the way the lineup is constructed. You look at the way they've got veteran depth in the bullpen. You just watch it. I mean, Auburn is a team that I think could legitimately be a team. It doesn't have the star power outside of Irish and maybe Sam Dutton that the rest of the league has. And I think people get caught up in that. But it's a team that's really good, really, really good. It defends pretty well. I think the ability to keep the ball in the park through its pitching staff could be a big thing here. I think Auburn went on the road a couple weeks ago, handled the show in Knoxville really well after dropping a heartbreaker. I think I see it this way. I think Dutton wins the Dutton game. I think Hunter Elliott wins the Hunter Elliott game on Friday, probably. And then it's up to game 3, and I looked at it. Auburn has won 6 game 3s in the SEC so far, and Ole Miss has won 4. I'm going to ride with that. Don't like picking against teams at home. Not a high degree of confidence, but I'm going to ride with Auburn just based on what I've seen lately.
Go, Joe.
I think there's something special about this Auburn bunch. I really do. And it's not only how the stars have delivered, but it's also a connection in the dugout that I think is beyond. And sometimes as a coach, you can foster that. So if Butch Thompson has, then God bless him. But sometimes it's also the kids in the dugout that allow that connectivity to happen and grow and become a belief. Of all the elite teams in this SEC this year, I don't know if Auburn has the starting pitching depth to truly be a national championship contender in terms of just guys who can pump it up there 94 plus. But I think they're motivated by – I mean, they had every reason to give away the game 2 against South Carolina when they blew the big lead, and they went on a walk-off squeeze play. I mean, to borrow a phrase from Pedro Serrano, the huevos that takes to do a walk-off squeeze play, I mean, hey, don't drink Joe Boo's rum. Tis very bad. Tis very bad to drink Joe Boo's rum. And I don't care if Eddie Harris needs a refill. I'm going to take Auburn to take 2 or 3 in Oxford.
This one is this one is so challenging for me. Like, Auburn is red hot. They've scored 65 runs their last 4 games. But like, this Ole Miss team this season, for whatever reason, whenever their backs are against the wall, it just seems like they play their best. And a lot of times this season, it's like, how in the world did Ole Miss win that game or that series? Yeah. I kind of think this is one of those moments. I'm going to take Ole Miss to take 2 out of 3. I think every game will be close down to the wire, that kind of a thing. But again, I would not be surprised at all if Auburn wins the series. So I'm leaning Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is the more desperate team in this situation because Ole Miss wants to host. That's a big reason why I'm taking Ole Miss 2 out of 3. And I think Auburn is hosting no matter what and should be a national seed no matter what.
Jay, do you think the key to success for Ike Irish and Chris Rembert lately could really just boil down to hats for bats? Are we missing something here?
If you keep bats warm, then bats are happy. And
right.
I mean, so
yeah. You know what's happened here, don't you? I thought it was interesting when Graham made you go next, because Graham has been smoking us in the picks contest all year. So if you want to pay attention to any of us, you got clowns on the edge and the guy that's been killing it in the middle. Well, Jay's not a clown. Jay's actually been crazy. Like
I'm 100% a clown. I'm the biggest clown in this thing.
Yeah, well, you've done pretty well too. Yeah, you guys have seen some stuff that I hadn't seen, and you're right. Like, desperation has generally been what's been winning lately. But I mean, it didn't happen last week, and it didn't happen in Knoxville, didn't happen in College Station. So I don't know what to make of it.
Those are the 2 lottery tickets. I mean, consistently trying to say you can pick how Tennessee and Texas A&M, and we'll get into that in a minute. I mean, as a gambler, if that's your plan, consistently picking those, your 401k for your retirement needs to be lottery tickets. Just buy a whole bunch of scratch-off lottery tickets, and you got the same odds.
I'll tell you what, if you want something useful here, Ole Miss, is that right? Has Ole Miss not been swept in a weekend yet? Am I reading that right?
Correct.
Okay, and Auburn was swept at Texas and at Georgia. So there's that, although those are a little bit in the rearview mirror. So anyway.
And also both of those were at the height of their apex.
Yeah.
That's true. They caught those teams at the wrong time. So, all right, well, can't wait to see it. I mean, like the rest of the series, going to be very interesting. We'll be here to wrap them up. We're previewing every single series. We got Tennessee, Arkansas in a separate video, and then we'll do the other 6 all together coming up here shortly. We'll do recaps Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night after the game, so hope you'll catch those. For Graham Doty, for Jay Greeson, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Thank you for watching our baseball content at Southeastern 16, and we'll see you again soon.